Wednesday last week, I released my 6-month channel update video. I had 502 subscribers when I released that video in the evening on Wednesday. Today, we have gone around 6 days on to Tuesday of the next week, and now I have 720 subscribers. So I've gained 218 subscribers in the past 6 days. Now, for context, it took me over 3 months to get to 200 subscribers previously. So I've gained what I gained in the first 3.5 months, I've now gained in 6 days. Now, how do you explain that? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I have some ideas and theories about what might have happened and things that could have had an effect. So I wanted to share them with you so you could keep an eye out for some of these things or focus on some of these things, because it may help. So let's take a look at that. I've got some notes here on my phone as usual, so I'll just be looking at them because otherwise I'll forget or go off topic, and I don't want to do that too much. So milestones, let's talk about that first. I talked about having milestones in that video actually, but milestones, I wonder, might be important from YouTube's perspective, because they have all these achievements right on YouTube that pop up on your YouTube studio that tell you you've reached 1,000 subscribers or whatever it is. And so I'd hit multiple YouTube milestones at the same time. I'd gone from 0 to 500, obviously, subscribers. I had 1,000 hours of watch time, and I had 6 months on YouTube all at the same time. Now, do those things trigger anything in the algorithm? The fact you've been around a certain amount of time, the fact you've made a certain amount of progress, if YouTube's tracking them and telling you, hey, you know, you've done good, you've got 500 subscribers, why are they bothering to tell me that if it doesn't mean anything? So are there any thresholds where YouTube says, okay, this person's been around long enough now, maybe we should give them a little boost? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I've noticed it not just on my channel now, but on even one of my friend's channels, Aussie Thor Chess. I'll link it on the screen for you. He hit the 1 year mark. He had quite a lot of videos, 200 and something, and he suddenly got a boost out of nowhere. Basically what happened is he had around 12, I believe it was, videos in a series, and he'd made the next one, exactly the same thumbnail, exactly the same topic, and suddenly out of nowhere he was getting 250, 300 views per video, and then out of nowhere he got one with, I don't know, 5,000, and then he got one with 18,000 or something. I don't know where those videos are sitting now, but the view count just went nuts, and he doesn't know why. I don't know why. But the weird thing is, he got a bunch of subscribers out of it, and then once he got those, he released the next video in the series, and he was back down to 250 views again. And now his videos, if anything, are lower on views. So what is going on? What's happened? And the honest answer is I don't know. And I don't know why I've got this bunch of views, but the idea that maybe there's some internal milestones for the algorithm that says, okay, once you've reached certain thresholds, maybe you're going to get a boost. I don't know if that's the case, but it seems like, from what I've seen on my channel, it could be. So the next thing I want to talk about is the quality jump. And what I mean by that is I upgraded some equipment. I upgraded my camera, and I think that made a big difference. And that was the first video that I released with the new camera. I'll link everything. It's all in the description. I'm going to do some videos about that as well, and how to get certain camera settings and effects and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm going to do a camera comparison between 3 of the most popular cameras for YouTube. So that's coming up. But anyway, I upgraded my camera, and so the visual quality was, in my opinion, a lot better. And it really mostly came down to the sort of background blur effect that adds that sort of professional look to your videos. Now, has that made a difference? I don't know. I mean, You know, the thumbnail was made with that new camera, the video obviously. So sometimes maybe that upgrade in quality can make a difference. Now, it could be that the upgrade is something a lot easier or a lot more simple to fix. Like if you're outdoors and you're getting a lot of wind noise in your videos, it's a pretty simple fix no matter what equipment you use. You know, even with a phone, you can have a dead cat like you see on my mic here. And if you're walking around with your mic too and you don't have a dead cat on, just put it on. You know, that's going to improve your audio massively, because it's quite windy now. You can't see that because I've got no hair or anything to be blowing around, but there's a breeze here now, but it's not causing me any problems because I have the dead cat on. So it could be very small things, but if you've seen something in your videos that you know can be better, just fix it. You know, one at a time if you need to. Small steps, but that upgrading quality could have an effect, especially combined with other things, right? So consider that. The next thing I wanted to mention is that not everybody's channel appears to be, how do you say, appears to have the human touch. Because depending on what your content is, you might not think that you can introduce that side of things to your channel. But I think that the video that I did the other day, the 6-month update, had 2 points of interest in it. One of those was the fact that I got laid off of work at 47 years old. And the other one was that I'd spent 6 months full-time on YouTube. So those 2 things could have an interest to different audiences. And there's also crossover in them. So having that sort of human element, if you like, to the video, where people can relate to either of those things, or maybe even both, can be quite powerful. Again, I don't know if that's the case, but I've had a lot of comments from people in that video saying that they've been laid off and stuff. And I have a video about being laid off. So that one's also generated more traffic and comments, perhaps on the back of the 6-month thing and the overall push. Now, it wasn't just a 6-month video that had pushed everything either. I'm getting old videos being viewed because YouTube's suddenly woken up and said, okay, if that person liked this, they might like this too. So there's been a whole flurry of activity out of nowhere. I don't know why. And some of the old videos that people have now been watching, I no idea how they got to those, or why YouTube decided to send them when my most recent videos have been the more successful ones. And that really brings me on to the small improvements thing, because my more recent videos have been doing better than my older ones. And I often have the sort of 1 in 10 now on my current videos. Now, why is that? Well, I guess it's the overall small improvements that I'm trying to make over time that are eventually having an effect. Let me just turn you around, because it might be nicer if you want to look that way. You can see the water. There we go. But anyway, those small improvements that you make to your channel and your content and every part of your process should, in the end, add up and make a difference. And I think you can see this through your, I'm not a big fan of the analytics, as you know, but when I'm looking at these 1 in 10s and I'm seeing, okay, the key thing I'm seeing is that people are engaging right from the start. As soon as I put a video out, they are liking, commenting, viewing even. I get views immediately within the first few minutes. And I think in the past that didn't happen so much. So that brings me on to the next point, which is your core audience. So you've made these small improvements and that's grown your channel. And then when you've grown your channel and you've got that core audience, then it's much easier for your videos to be successful straight out the gate, as soon as they're released. Now, we know, because YouTube have told us this, they've confirmed it, that your videos are shown first mainly to your core audience. And if you don't have a core audience, the algorithm doesn't know who to show you videos to. And it's not very good. And this is, I'm basically quoting Christos Goodrow here from YouTube, the Vice President of Engineering. So if you don't have a core audience, the systems, as he calls them, are not good at finding your initial audience, but they are good at finding people like the people that already like your content. So based on all of that, people say, oh, subscribers don't matter. They do. I'm sorry, but they clearly do. Because people say average view duration, click-through rate, all that stuff matters. And they're right, it does. But it doesn't matter if you don't have an audience. Because all of those stats will be trash. Because if YouTube's sending your videos to random people and they don't like them, which obviously if you send videos to a random sample of people that you're not sure if they're going to like it, there's going to be loads of people who don't click on it. There's going to be loads of people who don't watch it. And so it's pretty obvious to me that if you don't have that core audience, you're not going to get the kind of engagement that you're going to get when you do have that. And of course, all your stats are going to be trash because you don't have that core audience. So to me, the core audience, the subscribers that you initially have, need to reach a certain level for everything else to fall into place. And I feel like when I've been approaching the 500 mark, that's sort of happened too. So if you combine all of these things together, the core audience, the better engagement, the 1 out of 10 on pretty much every video that I release now, and the quality jump, the small improvements, and the perhaps push from YouTube because you've reached certain milestones, if you put all that together, you've basically made all these small gains that have now come together into one big package. And now you're seeing some traction. Now, I have no idea if this is going to work for you, but I would suggest that if you can improve on any of those things that I've just mentioned, I'll put them all on the screen somewhere or something to summarize it. But if you can improve any of those things, maybe you're going to find some traction out of nowhere like I did. So I hope that's helped. If it has, let me know. And let me know if you've noticed any of these things as well in the comments section. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it on the screen now, along with a couple of others that YouTube thinks that you should watch next.